Hey there, coin collectors and enthusiasts! Welcome back to your channel name, the place where we dive deep into the fascinating world of numismatics. Today, we're going to be talking about something you might have in your pocket right now, the humble 1982 1-cent coin. But don't be fooled by its small size and everyday appearance, because this little copper-plated penny has a story to tell and could actually be worth much more than you think. Let's start with the basics. The 1982 1-cent coin, commonly referred to as a penny, has been part of American currency for over a century. However, the 1982 version is unique for one very important reason: it marks the transition in the composition of the coin, which would later have a huge impact on its value. But before we jump into the nitty-gritty, let's first talk about its history and design. The 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, was first introduced in the United States in 1793. Back then, it was made of copper and featured a design of Lady Liberty, with the inscription Liberty on the front. Over time, the design evolved, with notable changes like the famous Lincoln design, which was introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's centennial birthday. For decades, pennies were made primarily of copper, and this continued until 1982. Up until this year, the composition was 95% copper and 5% zinc. However, due to the rising costs of copper, the U.S. Mint made a historic decision in 1982 to reduce the amount of copper in the penny. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In 1982, the U.S. Mint changed the penny's composition from 95% copper and 5% zinc to 97.5% zinc, with only 2.5% copper plating. This was done primarily to reduce production costs, as the price of copper had risen dramatically. But here's the catch: the change wasn't entirely uniform across the year. The U.S. Mint produced two different types of pennies in 1982, those made primarily of copper and those made primarily of zinc. So, when you come across a 1982 penny, it's important to check its composition, because some are worth a lot more than others. So how can you tell the difference between the copper and zinc pennies from 1982? Well, it's all about the weight and the sound it makes when dropped. A copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams, while a zinc penny weighs only 2.5 grams. Additionally, a copper penny has a more solid, metallic clink sound, while the zinc penny is lighter and sounds a bit more hollow. Another way to check is by using a magnet. The copper penny will not be attracted to a magnet, but the zinc penny will. If you're a collector, paying attention to these details is key, because the copper pennies from 1982 are the ones that have the potential to be worth much more. Now, let's talk about value. The 1982 copper penny is a rare find and can be worth quite a bit more than its face value. As of 2025, a 1982 copper penny in good condition can be worth anywhere from 5 to 10 cents. But don't get too excited just yet. The real value comes when you find one in mint condition, or if it has some special features. But here's where things get interesting. There are some 1982 copper pennies that have been known to fetch astronomical prices at auctions. For example, a 1982 copper penny with an error or a unique characteristic can be worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Some of the rarest 1982 copper pennies, particularly those that were accidentally struck with double dies or other minting errors, can be sold for tens of thousands of dollars. One of the most famous error pennies is the 1982 D double die obverse penny, which has a noticeable doubling of the date and the Liberty inscription. These error coins have sold for as much as $10,000 at auction. So, how can you tell if you've stumbled upon a valuable 1982 copper penny? The first thing to do is check for any visible errors in the design. Look for things like double or triple impressions in the date, the word Liberty, or the "In God We Trust" motto. These errors can significantly increase a coin's value. You'll also want to get a good magnifying glass to check the fine details of the coin's surface. If the coin is in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been used in circulation and has no wear and tear, it could be worth even more. If you're interested in collecting 1982 pennies, my best advice is to look through your change and pay attention to any older pennies you come across. Be sure to check the composition and condition. A well-preserved copper penny from 1982 could be worth more than you'd expect, and if you find a rare error coin, you might just strike gold. And remember, while it's fun to think about the potential value of your coins, the true joy of collecting is in the history and stories each coin tells. The 1982 penny is a great example of how something as simple as a penny can have so much more value and meaning than we first realize. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed learning about the 1982 1-cent coin. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more coin content. Let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare penny, and as always, keep hunting and happy collecting. Hey there, coin enthusiasts! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a specific coin that many of us probably have in our change jars, the 1987 1-cent coin. But this is no ordinary penny. In this video, we'll uncover its history, the value it holds today, and some surprising facts that could make it worth a lot more than just 1 cent. So stay tuned as we explore everything about the 1987 penny. Before we talk about the coin's value, let's take a step back and look at its history. The 1-cent coin, or penny, has been a staple of American currency since 1793, with various designs gracing its front and back over the years. However, by the 1980s, the design was set with the iconic Abraham Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This design was introduced back in 1909 and, in 1987, the penny still bore this familiar look. The coin you'll find from 1987 features President Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. This design had been in circulation for over 75 years by 1987, and it remained a symbol of American history and the legacy of one of the nation's most revered presidents. Now, let's talk about the numbers. The mintage of a coin refers to how many of that specific year's coins were produced. For the 1987 1-cent coin, there were actually several million pennies minted in that year. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 5.8 billion pennies, while the Denver Mint produced more than 6 billion. So, when you think of a 1987 penny, it's not exactly a rare coin in terms of mintage. In fact, with such a high production rate, most 1987 pennies are worth just 1 cent today. While the 1987 penny is common, it does have some value beyond its face value, especially if you're in the world of coin collecting. In general, most 1987 pennies are worth just 1 cent, but here's where things get interesting. Sometimes, small details or defects in coins can make them valuable. If you come across a 1987 penny with a minting error, such as a double die or a misstrike, it can be worth much more. For example, a double die penny, where the details of the design are duplicated, can fetch anywhere from $5 to $50 depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin. But hold on, there's more. Now, when it comes to the 1987 penny, one of the most sought-after errors is the 1987 double-die penny. These coins are highly prized by collectors because the design on the obverse, the Lincoln portrait, has been struck multiple times, creating a blurry, doubled effect on the features of Lincoln's face, the date, and the inscriptions. This makes it a rare and highly collectible error coin. In fact, depending on the condition, these double-dyed pennies can be worth anywhere from $10 to over $50. And in some cases, even more if you find one in mint condition. So, what affects the value of your 1987 penny? A few key factors come into play when determining how much a coin is worth. Let's break them down. 1. Condition asterisk. The condition of your coin is extremely important. Coins are graded based on their appearance, with categories ranging from good to mint state, MS. A penny in mint state, with little to no wear, is worth much more than one that's heavily worn or damaged. If your 1987 penny looks brand new, it could be worth more than its face value, even if it's not an error coin. 2. Minting errors asterisk. As we mentioned earlier, minting errors are a big factor. If your penny has a double die or other rare minting issues, it can boost the value significantly. 3. Rarity asterisk. Despite the large mintage numbers, certain varieties and errors are still rare, so finding a high-quality error coin could mean it's worth hundreds of dollars, much more than a standard 1987 penny. Now, let's talk about the big bucks. While most 1987 pennies are worth just 1 cent, collectors and investors are often willing to pay significantly more for rare, high-quality examples or error coins. For instance, a 1987 double-die penny in excellent condition could be sold for anywhere between $50 to $200, and in extreme cases, even higher. But don't just take my word for it. There have been auction sales where rare error pennies have gone for over $1,000, especially if they're in uncirculated condition. It's important to note, though, that the value of a coin can fluctuate depending on demand and the market. But if you're lucky enough to have one of these rare varieties in your collection, it could be worth way more than you think. Let's quickly go over how you can identify valuable 1987 pennies. Here are a few tips to look for when checking your coins. Inspect the date and Lincoln's portrait asterisk. Look closely for any signs of doubling in the date or Lincoln's image. If the details seem blurry or appear to be duplicated, you might have a double-die penny. Look for minting defects asterisk. Check for off-center strikes, die cracks, or any raised areas on the coin. These imperfections can make a huge difference in value. Coins with minimal wear or scratches, especially those in MS-65 or higher grades, can be much more valuable. If your penny looks brand new, you might be sitting on a small treasure. Well, there you have it, folks. The 1987 1-cent coin might seem like just a regular penny at first glance, but there's more to it than meets the eye. Whether you've got a rare minting error, a penny in mint condition, or just an interest in collecting, these small coins can have a surprisingly large worth. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more coin collecting tips and history. Also, if you've found a rare 1987 penny in your collection, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear about your discoveries. Until next time, keep your change jar handy, and happy collecting! Coin collectors and history buffs, welcome back to the channel. If you've ever dug through your change jar or checked the bottom of your purse, chances are you've come across a 1990 penny. But wait, this coin isn't just any regular penny. In today's video, we're going to dive deep into the fascinating world of the 1990 1-cent coin. From its historical significance to its current value, and even some potential surprising worth, you're in for a treat. So, let's get started and uncover everything you need to know about this iconic coin. Let's start by looking at the history of the 1990 penny. The 1-cent coin, or penny, has been a part of American currency since 1793, but by the time the 1990 penny was minted, the design had been set for many years. The coin's design features President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln portrait has been the face of the penny since 1909, while the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse was introduced in 1959, created by Frank Gasparo. These designs would continue to grace the penny for many years to come, with only minor changes made to the coin's structure and composition. But in 1990, the penny was still largely the same coin it had been since the 1950s. Now, let's talk about the mintage of the 1990 penny. The D on the coin's reverse signifies that this particular penny was minted at the Denver Mint, one of the main U.S. mints responsible for producing coins. In 1990, the total mintage of 1990 pennies was quite substantial. In fact, over 5.5 billion pennies were produced at the Denver Mint that year, making it one of the most common coins in circulation from that period. But just because a coin is common doesn't mean it can't be valuable. The mintage of the 1990 penny is high, but there's more to it than meets the eye when it comes to value. So, what determines the value of a 1990 penny? Like all coins, the value can vary based on a few key factors. Most pennies, including the 1990 are worth their face value, asterisk asterisk 1 cent asterisk asterisk, but there are some important exceptions to keep in mind. Let's break down the factors that can increase the value of your 1990 D penny. 1. Condition asterisk. The first factor is condition. Coins are graded on a scale from good, G, to mint state, MS, with coins in better condition generally worth more. A penny in mint state, meaning it looks brand new and has no significant wear, will be worth more than a worn penny. 2. Minting errors asterisk. The second factor that can increase the value of a penny is a minting error. These errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process. For example, you could find a penny with a double die or off-center strike, which makes it a rare and valuable piece. Some 1990 D pennies have been discovered with double die errors on the date, or Lincoln's portrait, which can increase their value dramatically. 3. Rarity asterisk. Even though there are billions of 1990 D pennies, certain varieties or condition levels can make a specific coin rare and valuable to collectors. For instance, a 1990 D penny in perfect, uncirculated condition or one with a rare minting error could be worth more than a regular penny. One of the most sought-after versions of the 1990 D penny is the double die penny. A double die error occurs when the coin is struck multiple times, causing certain areas of the design to appear doubled or blurred. This can happen in a variety of ways, sometimes affecting the date, the inscription, or even Lincoln's portrait itself. For the 1990 D penny, the most famous errors include the double date where the numbers in the year 1990 appear twice, once more faintly, creating a blurry, double effect. If you're lucky enough to find one of these double die pennies, they are much more valuable than a regular 1990 D penny. So, how much is your 1990 D penny worth, depending on its condition? Let's break it down. Common 1990 D penny, good to fine condition. If your 1990 D penny is in good or fine condition, with noticeable wear and tear, it's worth about 1 cent, the same as its face value. Mint state 1990 D penny, MS 65 or higher. However, if you've got a 1990 D penny in mint state, MS 65 or higher, it could be worth $1 to $3, especially if it's been properly stored and maintained. Some of these coins, even in high grades, can be quite desirable to collectors looking to complete their sets. Double die 1990 D penny asterisk. For those rare double die 1990 D pennies, the value can range from $10 to $50 depending on the quality of the error and the overall condition of the coin. In uncirculated condition, this error penny could fetch anywhere from $100 to $200 or more. Now, let's talk about the big worth of the 1990 D penny. While most of these coins aren't going to make you a fortune, some of them, especially those with significant errors, have sold for substantial amounts. For example, at coin auctions, rare double die pennies from 1990 have been known to go for several $100s if they're in perfect, uncirculated condition and feature highly prized error details. There's even been a reported sale of a double die 1990 D penny reaching $1,000. That's right, $1,000, for a penny that originally cost only 1 cent. This proves just how valuable these rare error coins can be when they make it to the right market. Now that you know the value of the 1990 D penny, how can you find one that's worth more than just a cent? Here are a few tips to help you identify a valuable 1990 D penny. 1. Inspect the date and portrait asterisk. Check for any doubling or blurring on the date, especially the year 1990, or on Lincoln's portrait. If you see these doubled features, you might have a double die error coin on your hands. 2. Look for off-center strikes asterisk. Sometimes, minting errors cause the coin to be struck off-center, creating a coin with uneven edges or misaligned designs. These can be valuable, especially if the error is more pronounced. 3. Examine the coin's condition asterisk. If your penny looks as if it's just come from the mint with no visible wear, it could be in mint state condition, which means it's worth more than the average circulated penny. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the 1990 D penny. While most of them are worth only a cent, If you're lucky enough to find one with a minting error or in perfect condition, it could be worth a lot more than you think. Remember to check your change jars, and who knows? You might have a small treasure hiding in there. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos on coin collecting, history, and rare finds. Have you ever come across a 1990 penny with an error? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, happy collecting and keep on searching for those hidden gems. Coin collectors and history enthusiasts, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're focusing on a coin that's probably found its way into many of our pockets at some point, the 1993 D1-cent coin. But don't let its small size fool you. This little penny has a big story and some surprising value. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a casual numismatist, this video will break down everything you need to know about the 1993 D penny, from its fascinating history to its potential worth today. So, let's dive in and discover why this seemingly common coin could be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. Let's start with a little history lesson. The 1-cent coin, or penny, has been a fixture of American currency since 1793. The 1993 D penny, however, is just one example of the modern iterations of this beloved coin. So, what makes this penny special? Close-up of a 1993 D penny. In 1993, the design of the penny was already set. It featured Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, front side, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, back side. This design has been the standard for the penny since 1909, thanks to the work of Victor David Brenner and Frank Gasparo. The Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959, honors the iconic monument in Washington, D.C., while Lincoln's profile pays tribute to the 16th President of the United States. Now, the 1993 D penny was minted at the Denver Mint, denoted by the D on the reverse side, and it's part of the ongoing production of billions of pennies that have been struck every year for decades. Now, let's get into the numbers. Mintage refers to how many of a particular coin were produced in a given year. The 1993 D penny is far from rare when it comes to production numbers. In fact, over 6 billion 1993 D pennies were minted that year. This large mintage means that most of these pennies aren't going to be worth a fortune based on rarity alone. Show images of the minting process at the Denver Mint. But hold on, just because a coin is common in terms of mintage doesn't mean it doesn't have a unique value. The 1993 D penny can still hold value depending on its condition, any errors it may have, and the general interest from collectors. Now you might be wondering, what makes a 1993 D penny worth more than just 1 cent? Well, several factors come into play when determining a penny's value. First and foremost, the condition of the coin is key. Coins are graded on a scale from good to mint state. A penny in mint state, MS, meaning it looks as if it's freshly minted and has no visible wear or damage, is worth far more than one that's been heavily circulated. Secondly, minting errors can play a huge role in the coin's value. While most 1993 D pennies are produced without issue, some may feature interesting or rare errors that could make them worth much more than face value. Finally, rarity and collector demand can also influence a coin's worth. While the 1993 D penny is fairly common, certain factors like high-grade specimens or error coins can increase its value. Speaking of minting errors, let's take a closer look at some of the errors you should keep an eye out for when examining a 1993 D penny. These errors can greatly increase the value of your coin. One of the most common errors you might find in 1993 D pennies is the double die error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing the features of the design, such as the date or lettering, to appear doubled. Zoom in to show an example of a double die error. For the 1993 D penny, a double die error on the date, or Lincoln's portrait, is particularly valuable to collectors. These coins can range in value from $10 to $50, depending on the quality of the doubling and the condition of the coin. Another error to look for is the off-center strike. This happens when the penny is not perfectly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the coin to be missing or off-center. These types of errors can significantly increase the value of a coin if the off-center strike is substantial. Lastly, look out for die cracks. These occur when a crack forms in the die, causing the crack to be stamped onto the coin. These are typically small, but can add uniqueness to the coin, making it more desirable to collectors. Let's take a moment to talk about how much your 1993 D penny might be worth based on its condition. Common 1993 D penny, good to fine condition. If your 1993 D penny is in good or fine condition, meaning it has visible wear and doesn't have any errors, it's worth about 1 cent, just like any other penny you'd find in your change. Uncirculated 1993 D penny, MS65 or higher. Now, if you've got an uncirculated 1993 D penny, meaning it's in mint state with no wear and is in excellent condition, you could expect it to be worth between $1 to $3. These coins are more desirable to collectors who are looking for pristine examples of each year's issue. 1993 D double die or error penny asterisk. For those with a double die or other minting error, the value increases significantly. Depending on the error and condition, these could be worth anywhere from $10 to $50. In some cases, if the error is particularly rare or significant, it could even be worth more. So, how about the big bucks? While most 1993 D pennies won't make you a fortune, there have been instances where rare error coins have fetched a nice sum at auction houses or among collectors. Some 1993 D double die error pennies in mint state condition can sell for $100 or more, and depending on the severity of the error, some have even sold for upwards of $500 to $1,000 at auctions. Cut to footage of rare coin auctions, with high bids being placed. These sales show just how valuable rare minting errors can be, and while it's not every day you'll find a penny worth hundreds of dollars, it's worth checking your 1993 D pennies for any unusual features. Now let's go over some quick tips for identifying a valuable 1993 D penny in your collection. 1. Inspect the date and Lincoln's portrait asterisk. Look closely at the date. Is it doubled? Are there signs of blurring on the portrait of Lincoln? If so, you might have a double die error. 2. Check for off-center strikes asterisk. Examine the edges of the penny. Is the design misaligned? If so, you may have an off-center strike, which could be worth more. 3. Examine the coin for die cracks asterisk. Look at the edges and details of the coin for any cracks. While they're subtle, die cracks can be valuable and unique. 4. Look at the condition asterisk. If the penny is in mint state, unopened, with no visible wear, it's worth checking with a professional coin grader, as it could be worth more than just a cent. Well, that's a wrap on the 1993 D 1 cent coin. While this penny may seem like a regular coin in your pocket, it's got a lot of potential for collectors. Whether you're looking for a minting error, a high-grade specimen, or just learning about the value of your coins, the 1993 D penny might surprise you. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos on coin collecting, history, and valuable finds. Have you ever found a 1993 D penny with a rare error or in pristine condition? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep searching through your change, and happy collecting. Let's kick things off with a little background on the 1993 penny. The 1 cent coin, or penny, has been part of the American currency system since 1793, and over the years, its design has evolved quite a bit. But by the time 1993 rolled around, the penny had already been using the same design for several decades. On the obverse, or front side, of the 1993 penny, you'll see the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by artist Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's image has been gracing the penny since 1909, making it one of the longest-standing coin designs in the U.S. mint's history. And on the reverse, or back side, we see the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. This design was introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's life and legacy, specifically honoring the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. Now, the 1993 penny was minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark on the reverse side. While this design had been around for a while, the 1993 penny represents a year of transition in the world of U.S. coinage. It was just 2 years after the U.S. government had removed copper from pennies due to rising costs, and the coins were now being minted with a copper-plated zinc composition. Let's talk about the mintage numbers for the 1993 penny. In other words, how many of these little coins were actually produced. In 1993, the U.S. Mint struck over 6.7 billion 1-cent coins across all mints. That's a staggering amount of pennies. Of those, around 3.3 billion were minted at the Denver Mint with the D mint mark, and the rest came from the Philadelphia Mint, which produced the coins without any mint mark. So, when it comes to rarity, the 1993 penny isn't particularly scarce. There are billions of them out there. But that doesn't mean every 1993 penny is worth just a cent. Like all coins, the value of the 1993 penny is determined by several key factors. Let's break it down. Condition of the coin. The condition of the coin is one of the biggest factors. If your 1993 penny is in good condition, meaning it has visible wear and tear, it's typically only worth its face value of 1 cent. But if it's in uncirculated or mint state condition, meaning it has little to no wear and still looks almost as fresh as the day it was minted, it could be worth much more. Rarity and demand. While there are billions of 1993 pennies out there, the rarity of a coin isn't just about the number minted, it's also about demand. Some pennies are in higher demand because they are in better condition or are more desirable to collectors. Even though the 1993 penny was minted in massive numbers, high-grade examples can still fetch a premium. Minting errors. Minting errors are another big factor that can increase the value of a coin. If your 1993 penny has any significant errors, like double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks, it could be worth much more than just a cent. These errors are rare and are highly sought after by collectors, making them valuable finds. Speaking of minting errors, let's take a closer look at the kinds of errors you should keep an eye out for when checking your 1993 penny. Double die errors. One of the most common minting errors in the 1993 penny is the double die error. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing the design to be struck twice. You might notice that parts of the date, or even Lincoln's portrait, are doubled. These double dies are highly sought after by collectors, so if you find one, it could increase the value of your coin by $10 to $50, depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin. Zoom in on a clear example of a double die error on the 1993 penny, off-center strikes. Another error to look for is an off-center strike. This happens when the penny is not aligned properly in the coin press, resulting in part of the design being cut off or shifted. These types of errors make the coin unique and can sometimes increase its value by $20 to $100, depending on how pronounced the misalignment is. Die cracks. Sometimes you may notice die cracks on your penny. These occur when the die that strikes the coin develops cracks, and those cracks are transferred onto the coin. Die cracks are less common but can add uniqueness to a penny. Depending on where the crack appears, these coins can be worth more to collectors. So, how much is your 1993 penny actually worth? Well, it depends on its condition, the presence of any errors, and its overall demand among collectors. Common 1993 penny, good to fine condition. In good or fine condition, where the coin shows visible signs of wear and has little to no shine left, the 1993 penny is typically worth just 1 cent, its face value. This is the most common scenario for a 1993 penny you'll come across. Uncirculated 1993 penny, MS65 or higher. However, if your 1993 penny is in mint state, meaning it's in pristine condition with little to no wear, it could be worth anywhere from $1 to $3. A coin in MS65 condition or higher is considered a great find by collectors, and these pennies are worth more than face value. 1993 penny with minting errors, double die or off-center strikes. For a 1993 penny with an error, like a double die or off-center strike, values can range from $10 to $50 depending on the error and the quality of the coin. In some cases, especially for highly collectible errors, the value could even rise to $100 or more. Now, let's talk about the big money. While most 1993 pennies won't make you a millionaire, there are some rare examples with major minting errors that have sold for surprising amounts. For example, a double die or off-center strike coin in perfect condition can sometimes fetch between $100 and $500 at coin auctions, depending on demand and the quality of the error. There are even reports of some rare 1993 era pennies selling for $1,000 or more if the error is significant enough and the coin is in pristine condition. Now that you know what to look for, here's how to identify a potentially valuable 1993 penny in your collection. Look for double die errors. Examine the date and Lincoln's portrait for any signs of doubling. If the digits in the year or features on Lincoln's face appear blurred or duplicated, you may have a double die error. Check for off-center strikes. Inspect the edges of the coin to see if the design is misaligned. If the coin is off-center, part of the design could be missing or shifted. These coins are valuable to collectors. Examine for die cracks. Look for any cracks or unusual markings along the coin's design, especially around the edges or lettering. These cracks could indicate a die crack error. And that's a wrap on the 1993 1-cent coin. While this penny might seem like just another everyday coin, it has a fascinating history and potential value that can surprise you. Whether it's a high-grade example or one with a rare minting error, your 1993 penny could be worth more than just 1 cent. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of coin collecting and valuable finds. Have you ever found a 1993 penny with a cool error or in pristine condition? Let us know in the comments below. Coin collectors and history buffs, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to explore a very special coin, the 1995 1-cent coin. At first glance, this penny might seem like just another piece of pocket change, but believe me, there's much more to it than meets the eye. From its rich history to its potential value in today's market, this coin is definitely worth a closer look. So sit tight, because we're diving deep into the story of the 1995 penny, its design, its history, and why it could potentially be worth much more than just 1 cent. Let's start by diving into the history of the 1995 penny. The 1-cent coin, or penny, has been in circulation since 1793, and over the years, its design has gone through several changes. But by the time the 1995 penny was produced, the design had been relatively stable for decades. On the obverse, or front side, we find the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. This portrait, designed by artist Victor David Brenner, has been featured on the penny since 1909 and is one of the most recognizable images on U.S. currency. The inscription Liberty and the year 1995 are also clearly visible on the front. And on the reverse of the coin, we see the Lincoln Memorial, which has been the standard design on the penny since 1959. This design was created by Frank Gasparo, and it pays homage to the iconic monument dedicated to Lincoln in Washington, D.C. In 1982, the U.S. Mint switched the composition of the penny from copper to a copper-plated zinc mixture due to rising copper prices. The 1995 penny was minted using this new material, which is still used for pennies today. Now, let's talk about the mintage of the 1995 penny. The U.S. Mint struck a huge number of pennies in 1995, more than 7 billion in total. These were produced across the two major U.S. Mint facilities, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. In 1995, around 5.5 billion pennies were minted in Philadelphia and just over 1.2 billion at the Denver Mint. With such high numbers, it might seem like the 1995 penny is a dime a dozen, and for the most part, that's true. So, where does its value come from? Now you're probably wondering, how can a 1995 penny, which was produced in the billions, possibly be worth more than face value? Well, there are several factors that can affect the value of a coin. Let's break them down. 1. Condition asterisk. The condition of a coin is one of the most important factors that determines its value. Coins are graded on a scale from good, heavily worn, to mint state, perfect condition. A coin in mint state, meaning it looks as though it's just been struck by the mint and has no visible wear or damage, can be worth much more than one in good or fine condition. 2. Rarity and demand asterisk. While the 1995 penny was minted in large numbers, certain high-grade examples can be more desirable to collectors. Rarity doesn't just come from how many coins were made, it also comes from how many of them survived in exceptional condition. 3. Minting errors asterisk. Some of the most valuable 1995 pennies are those with minting errors. These errors are rare occurrences during the manufacturing process, and they can significantly increase a penny's value. Coins with errors, like double dies, off-center strikes, and die cracks, are highly sought after by collectors, and some can be worth far more than face value. Let's take a closer look at some of the minting errors that can make the 1995 penny much more valuable than the 1 cent it's worth in its regular form. 1. Double die errors asterisk. One of the most common and valuable errors you might find in a 1995 penny is the double die error. This occurs when the die that strikes the coin becomes misaligned, causing the design to be stamped twice. You might see this with the date, or Lincoln's portrait being doubled. These coins are highly sought after by collectors and can be worth anywhere from $10 to $50, depending on the severity of the doubling. 2. Off-center strikes asterisk. Another error to look out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the penny isn't aligned properly in the coin press, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. These types of errors are quite rare, and an off-center 1995 penny can be worth $20 to $100, depending on how off-center it is. 3. Die cracks and other minor errors asterisk. Sometimes you'll find die cracks, small cracks in the die that can leave visible marks on the coin. While these are less significant than double die or off-center strikes, they can still add uniqueness to the penny and make it more valuable to collectors. So, how much is the 1995 penny worth? Let's break it down by condition. 1. Common 1995 penny, good to fine condition. If your 1995 penny is in good or fine condition, meaning it shows signs of wear and has visible scratches or discoloration, it's probably only worth 1 cent, just like any other penny you find in circulation. 2. Uncirculated 1995 penny, MS65 or higher. If your 1995 penny is in mint state, meaning it looks almost as fresh as the day it was minted, it could be worth much more, anywhere from $1 to $3, depending on its grade. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. 3. Error coins, double die or off-center strikes. For a 1995 penny with a minting error, like a double die error or off-center strike, the value can vary widely. A double die error could be worth between $10 and $50, while an off-center strike might fetch anywhere from $20 to $100 depending on the severity of the error and its condition. So you might be wondering, what's the big money potential for a 1995 penny? Well, while the majority of these pennies are worth just a cent or a few dollars in excellent condition, there have been some rare cases where 1995 error pennies have fetched hundreds or even thousands of dollars. For example, a particularly rare double die error or a highly pronounced off-center strike can sometimes fetch prices at auction of $500 or more, depending on its condition and demand from collectors. Now, let's go over how you can spot a potentially valuable 1995 penny in your collection. 1. Examine the date and Lincoln's portrait for doubling asterisk. Check the date and Lincoln's portrait for signs of doubling. If the design looks blurry or duplicated, you may have a double die error. 2. Look for off-center strikes asterisk. Inspect the edges of the coin carefully. If the design seems to be misaligned or if part of the coin is missing, it could be an off-center strike. 3. Look for die cracks or other minor errors asterisk. Check for small cracks in the die that might have been transferred to the coin. These are often subtle but can add value if they're unique enough. And that wraps up our look at the 1995 1-cent coin. While it might seem like just another penny in your pocket, it has a fascinating history and, in some cases, a surprising value. Whether it's an uncirculated specimen, a coin with a minting error, or just a piece of history, the 1995 penny is definitely worth keeping an eye on. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure to hit that subscribe button for more great content on coin collecting, history, and valuable finds. Have you ever come across a 1995 penny with an error? Drop a comment below and share your discovery. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep searching through your change, and happy collecting! Coin enthusiasts and curious viewers, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most recent, yet fascinating, pennies ever minted, the 2010 1-cent coin, or more simply, the 2010 penny. Now, this might seem like a standard coin to most of us, but believe it or not, there's much more to the 2010 penny than you might expect. From its historical context to its potential worth, this coin may just surprise you. Stick around to find out why the 2010 penny is worth more than you think. To truly appreciate the 2010 penny, we first need to understand the history of the 1-cent coin itself. The penny has been in circulation for well over 2 centuries, ever since the United States Mint struck the first 1-cent coin in 1793. Over the years, the penny's design has changed numerous times. But by 2010, the penny was in the midst of a rather familiar phase. On the obverse side of the 2010 penny, we find the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Designed by artist Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's portrait has adorned the penny since 1909. But what makes the 2010 penny unique is the fact that the reverse of the coin had changed just a few years prior. Asterisk. Starting in 2009, to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the U.S. Mint released a series of special reverse designs that highlighted different aspects of Lincoln's life. These reverse designs were a limited run, with 4 different variations in 2009. However, by 2010, the Lincoln Memorial design, which had been on the reverse of the penny since 1959, was officially retired, and the coin returned to a new version of the Union Shield design. Let's take a deeper look at the 2010 penny's design. On the obverse, we still have Abraham Lincoln's portrait, which has become an enduring symbol of the U.S. penny. But what's really interesting here is the reverse of the coin, where we see the Union Shield design. This new reverse design was created by Frank Gasparo and was adopted in 2010 as part of a broader effort to modernize U.S. coinage while also paying homage to the country's rich history. The Union Shield features a design that incorporates the shield itself, with the words E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, above, and a banner with the word liberty in the center. It also displays 13 stripes, representing the 13 original colonies, and an olive branch and arrows that symbolize peace and strength, respectively. This design was meant to signify the unity of the country and a strong, enduring future. The 2010 penny is the first to feature this Union Shield design on the reverse side, which replaced the Lincoln Memorial design that had been in place for more than 50 years. Now let's talk about the mintage numbers of the 2010 penny. Over 7 billion pennies were produced in 2010 across the 2 main U.S. mint facilities, Philadelphia and Denver. While this number may seem incredibly high, the reality is that a large mintage doesn't necessarily mean that the coin is abundant in terms of value, especially when it comes to collectors. Out of the 7 billion pennies minted in 2010, most were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, with over 5 billion minted there, and the remaining 2 billion minted in Denver. The 2010 penny is also unique in that it was minted in both regular circulation versions and proof versions for collectors, which were struck at the San Francisco Mint. So, how much is the 2010 penny worth? For the most part, a 2010 penny is still worth exactly 1 cent, just like any other regular penny in circulation. But here's where things get interesting. There are several factors that can increase the value of the 2010 penny beyond its face value. 1. Condition of the coin asterisk. The condition of a coin is one of the most important factors in determining its value. Coins are graded on a scale from good to mint state. A 2010 penny that is heavily worn, scratched, or discolored may only be worth 1 cent. However, a penny that is uncirculated, meaning it has no signs of wear or damage and still looks fresh from the mint, could be worth $1 to $3, depending on its quality. 2. Proof versions ***. In addition to the regular circulation coins, 2010 proof pennies were also minted. Proof coins are specially struck with extra care and attention to detail, often producing higher quality images and finishes. Proof 2010 pennies can be found in sets sold by the U.S. Mint, and while they're not extremely rare, they are highly desirable to collectors. A proof 2010 penny might be worth anywhere from $5 to $10, or more, depending on its condition and the specific proof set it was included in. Just like with any other coin, minting errors are one of the most exciting factors for collectors, and they can dramatically increase the value of a coin. While the 2010 penny wasn't known for having a massive number of errors, there are still a few worth mentioning. 1. Double die errors ***. One of the most notable minting errors to look out for in the 2010 penny is the double die error. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. You might notice this doubling in the date, or the word Liberty. Double die 2010 pennies can be worth anywhere from $10 to $50, depending on the severity of the error. 2. Off-center strikes ***. Another common error is the off-center strike, where the penny wasn't properly aligned when it was struck, resulting in part of the design being cut off or shifted. An off-center 2010 penny could be worth $20 to $100, or even more if the error is particularly striking. 3. Die cracks and other errors ***. Sometimes you might find die cracks or cuds, small flaws in the die that get transferred to the coin. These types of errors are more subtle but still make a coin unique and valuable. While these might not be worth as much as a double die or off-center strike, they can still fetch a nice premium, especially if the coin is in high-grade condition. Now we're talking about the big money potential for a 2010 penny. While most of these pennies will only be worth a cent or a few dollars, some rare minting errors can push their value into the hundreds of dollars. For example, a 2010 penny with a severe double die error or a unique off-center strike could fetch anywhere from $200 to $500 at auction, depending on its rarity and condition. And if you happen to stumble upon a proof coin in exceptional condition, it could be worth more than its typical range, especially if it's part of a limited edition proof set. Your one-stop shop for everything coins. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a casual fan of numismatics, today's video is going to dive deep into a penny you might have in your collection, or maybe even sitting in your pocket right now, the 1997 1-cent coin. We're going to explore its history, value, and how some of these pennies have ended up being worth far more than just 1 cent. You won't want to miss this one. Alright, let's kick things off with a close look at the 1997 penny. It's a pretty standard-looking coin, isn't it? You've got the famous Lincoln design on the obverse, which has been a staple of the 1-cent coins since 1909. But behind this simple coin lies an interesting story about its history, how it was made, and why some collectors are willing to pay more than face value for a 1997 penny. Before we get into the specifics of the 1997 penny, let's take a brief trip down memory lane to understand where it all began. The U.S. 1-cent coin, often referred to as a penny, was first introduced in 1793. The original design featured Lady Liberty on the front. Fast forward a century, and in 1909, the U.S. Mint unveiled the Lincoln penny, designed by Victor David Brenner, which is the same design we see today. The design has undergone only a few changes since then. The most significant change came in 1959, when the reverse design was altered to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. From then on, the back of the penny featured the Lincoln Memorial, and that stayed in place until 2009 when the Mint released a series of designs to honor Lincoln's life, marking his 200th birthday. Now, let's talk about the composition. If you're holding a 1997 penny in your hand, you'll notice it has that familiar reddish-brown color. That's because the penny in 1997, like most pennies made in the years prior, was composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This mix of metals was the standard for the U.S. penny up until 1982 when the composition shifted to mostly zinc, but by 1997, the copper-zinc alloy was still in use. So, why is this important? Well, the copper composition made the penny heavier and gave it that distinctive tone. But in later years, with rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint switched to a predominantly zinc composition, which changed the look and feel of the penny significantly. But we're not talking about the newer pennies today. Let's focus on the 1997 1-cent coin and its role in the history of American currency. So what made 1997 such a special year for the penny? Well, in many ways, the 1997 penny is just another typical example of the ongoing production of pennies in the 1990s, but it holds a special place for collectors because it is now considered a classic issue. In the late 1990s, the penny was still a widely used coin, and with inflation on the rise, its purchasing power continued to decline. However, the 1997 penny remains an important piece for collectors because it was produced at a time when the U.S. Mint hadn't yet started to make drastic changes to the penny's design or composition. So, how much is a 1997 penny worth today? Well, in terms of face value, of course, it's just 1 cent. But as any coin collector knows, value is often about more than just the number on the coin. So let's look at some factors that influence the worth of a 1997 penny. In general, a 1997 penny in average circulation condition will be worth just 1 cent. However, if you happen to have a penny in mint condition, meaning it has no wear, scratches, or discoloration, it might be worth a bit more. Coins that are in excellent condition or have been preserved well could fetch anywhere between 5 to 10 cents, depending on demand and the rarity of the coin. Now, here's where things get interesting. As with most modern coins, certain 1997 pennies with errors or unique characteristics can be worth much more than their face value. One of the most common errors to look out for is the double die error, which occurs when the coin's design is struck more than once during the minting process. This causes the design to appear doubled in certain areas. If you find a 1997 penny with a noticeable double die error, it could be worth hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars to the right collector. Some of these error coins have been sold at auction for as much as $2,000, depending on the severity and visibility of the error. But the double die error isn't the only valuable feature you should be on the lookout for. Some collectors are also interested in 1997 pennies that have unique colorations or unusual wear patterns, such as copper-plated errors, where the penny has retained a shiny copper hue due to a mistake during the plating process. There are also 1997 pennies that were part of special collections or proof sets, which can increase in value over time. These coins are produced for collectors and tend to have higher minting standards, which means they often come in pristine condition. A proof set coin might sell for $1 or more, depending on the demand. So, how do you find valuable 1997 pennies? First, check the composition. While most 1997 pennies are made of copper and zinc, look for those rare errors, like double dies or improperly struck coins. Also, check for any special proof sets. When hunting for valuable pennies, it's important to pay attention to small details that might go unnoticed by the untrained eye. You can also keep an eye on coin dealers or online auctions to see if any 1997 pennies are being sold for more than their face value. In fact, some numismatists consider the 1997 penny to be a great coin to collect for the future. Who knows how valuable these coins might be in 20 or 30 years? Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, the 1997 penny is a great addition to any collection. While it might not have the fame or allure of older coins like the 1909 VDB penny or the 1943 steel penny, it represents an important era in American coinage and offers some potential for value, especially if you're lucky enough to find a rare error or mint state example. So, next time you're sifting through your change, don't overlook the 1997 penny. Who knows, you might just find a hidden gem that's worth more than a mere penny. Thanks for watching today's video on the 1997 1-cent coin. If you enjoyed learning about this fascinating piece of American currency, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more coin content. Don't forget to comment below if you've ever found a rare 1997 penny, or if you have any questions about coin collecting. Until next time, happy hunting and keep collecting. Coin collectors, history buffs, and curious viewers, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a 1996 1-cent coin, also known as the 1996 penny. You might not think much about this seemingly ordinary penny, but today we're going to uncover why the 1996 penny has an important place in U.S. coinage history. We'll also explore its value, where to find it, and how some rare 1996 pennies could be worth big money. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for this one. To understand the 1996 penny, we need to start by looking at the history of the 1-cent coin in general. The penny has been around since 1793, but its design has evolved significantly over the years. The 1996 penny falls into the era when the Lincoln Memorial design was still in use. On the obverse side of the coin, we see the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by artist Victor David Brenner. This image of Lincoln has been gracing the penny since 1909, and it's become one of the most recognizable figures in American currency. Below Lincoln's portrait, you'll find the inscription Liberty, and the year 1996 clearly marked. Close-up of Lincoln's portrait with the year 1996, and the word Liberty visible. On the reverse, we still see the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was introduced in 1959 to honor the monument in Washington, D.C., and the memory of President Lincoln. This design was created by Frank Gasparo. Zoom in on the Lincoln Memorial, highlighting the details. In 1996, the U.S. Mint produced the penny with the same copper-plated zinc composition that began in 1982. The decision to switch from pure copper to copper-plated zinc was driven by rising copper prices, and this composition is still in use today. Let's talk about the mintage of the 1996 penny. In total, more than 7.8 billion pennies were minted in 1996 across the Philadelphia and Denver mints. This is a pretty large number, which might make you think that the 1996 penny isn't rare at all. But as we'll see, rarity isn't the only thing that determines a coin's value. Of those 7.8 billion, around 5.5 billion were minted in Philadelphia, and just over 2.3 billion were minted in Denver, with both varieties having their own distinct mint marks. But with billions in circulation, what makes a particular 1996 penny valuable? Just because there are billions of 1996 pennies doesn't mean they're all worth just 1 cent. There are a few factors that can significantly affect the value of a 1996 penny. Let's break them down. Condition of the coin. First and foremost, the condition of a coin is crucial. Coins are graded on a scale from good to mint state. A penny in good condition might show wear, discoloration, and scratches. However, a penny in mint state, meaning it's in pristine condition with little to no visible wear, can be worth much more. Rarity and demand. While 1996 pennies were minted in massive numbers, the rarity of a coin isn't just about how many were made. The rarity of a coin also depends on how many survived in high-grade condition, and how much demand there is from collectors. Minting errors. Some of the most valuable 1996 pennies are those that feature minting errors. These are rare mistakes that occur during the production process, and they can greatly increase a coin's value. Coins with double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks are highly sought after by collectors. And of course, some of these error coins can be worth a whole lot more than face value. Let's take a closer look at some of the minting errors that can make the 1996 penny stand out and fetch higher prices. Double die errors. One of the most valuable errors to look out for in the 1996 penny is the double die error. This happens when the design is struck multiple times by the same die, creating a visible doubling effect. On a double-die 1996 penny, you might notice that the date, or Lincoln's portrait, is doubled. If you find one of these coins, it could be worth anywhere from $10 to $50 or more, depending on the degree of the doubling. Zoom in on a clear example of a double die error on the 1996 penny, showcasing the doubled design. Off-center strikes. Another interesting minting error to look for is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin isn't properly aligned in the press, causing part of the design to be off-center, or even missing. An off-center 1996 penny can be worth anywhere from $20 to $100, depending on how much of the design is missing. Show an example of an off-center strike with a missing portion of the design. Die cracks and cuds. Some 1996 pennies might also show die cracks or cuds. These happen when the die used to strike the coins becomes damaged. While these are not as dramatic as double dies or off-center strikes, they can still make a coin more valuable to collectors who are looking for unique pieces. Depending on the size and location of the crack, these coins can be worth a few dollars to much more, especially if they're in great condition. So, how much is a 1996 penny actually worth? Let's break it down by condition and type. Common 1996 penny, good to fine condition. If your 1996 penny is in good or fine condition, meaning it has visible wear, scratches, or discoloration, it's generally only worth 1 cent, the same as its face value. Uncirculated 1996 penny, MS65 or higher. However, if your 1996 penny is in mint state, meaning it looks almost brand new with little to no visible wear, it could be worth anywhere from $1 to $3. Coins in MS65 or higher grade are more desirable to collectors and can command a premium. Error coins, double die or off-center strikes. If your 1996 penny has a minting error, like a double die or off-center strike, it could be worth anywhere from $10 to $100 depending on the severity and quality of the error. A coin with a rare error in high-grade condition could even fetch a higher price at auction. Now, here's the part you've been waiting for. What about big money for a 1996 penny? While most of these pennies are worth just 1 cent, there are rare examples with minting errors that have fetched incredible amounts at auction. Some 1996 double die error pennies have been known to sell for as much as $500 or more, depending on the error and the condition of the coin. Similarly, off-center strike pennies can sometimes command prices upwards of $100. A 1996 penny with an extremely rare and unique minting error could potentially reach several $100s, especially if it's in near-perfect condition. Now that you know what makes the 1996 penny special, let's talk about how to identify a potentially valuable one in your collection. Look for double die errors. Check the date and Lincoln's portrait for signs of doubling. If you see blurred or duplicated features, you could have a double die error. Examine for off-center strikes. Look carefully at the edges of the coin. If the design is misaligned or part of it is missing, it might be an off-center strike. Check for die cracks or cuds. Inspect the coin for any visible cracks or cud marks that could add value, especially if they're unique or pronounced. And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the 1996 1-cent coin. Who knew that this humble penny could have such an interesting history and hidden value? Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting your journey, always keep an eye out for those rare errors and high-grade specimens that can make your collection and your wallet shine. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on new content. Have you ever found a 1996 penny with an error? Drop a comment below and let us know what you found.